You're listening to Business Lunch with Roland Frasier. This is your seat at the table.
Hey everybody, Roland Frasier here with a special episode of Business Lunch. Really excited to have as our guest today, Gino Wickman. Gino, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Roland. Looking forward to this.
You have done so many cool things. One of my favorite books, Rocket Fuel, and you've got Traction and created the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And now you've got kind of your next venture, really helping people see whether they should take that entrepreneurial leap or not, and literally have called it Entrepreneurial Leap. Can you give us maybe a little bit more background on your background, and then we'll hop into some questions?
Yeah, you bet. I'll give the lightning fast background. So
all right.
I always say I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 21. So frankly, I started out, I did not go to college. I knew I was an entrepreneur. Academics were not for me. And I just went out and I just went to work. I ended up taking over a family business by age 25. I did a big turnaround over 3 years, ran it for 7 years, successfully sold it. During that, I was a member of EO. I found myself helping a lot of my EO brethren, and I just fell in love with entrepreneurship, helping my dad as an entrepreneur, then discovering I was an entrepreneur as a student of Strategic Coach. I'm a 23-year student of that program. And so at 29, when I had that light bulb moment, I realized my life was entrepreneurs, and I devoted my life to helping them. And so that's what led me to then creating EOS, because I threw myself out there, started helping entrepreneurs, and built EOS to 375 implementers all over the world. We've got 100,000 companies running on that system. And so the way I always describe it is, and then I sold the company. It's important that I share that. I still own 12.5%. I still own the books. I'm still the EOS guy. I still have clients, all that good stuff. But with that, I always describe it as I've spent almost 3 decades obsessing and helping entrepreneurs. And what I'm doing with this new project is I'm going to the front end of the entrepreneurial journey, and I'm pursuing a passion of helping entrepreneurs in the making really determine if they have what it takes, and giving them a huge jumpstart on taking their entrepreneurial leap. So that's the fastest version of my history that I could share.
I love it. I love it. And it's so cool because you've been through all of the stages of entrepreneurialism to kind of then reverse engineer what does it in fact take to be successful.
I
right?
definitely did it in the right order. The first 30 years were very important for what I'm going to be teaching for the next 10 years.
Right. And you kind of break the new book. So the new book is Entrepreneurial Leap, and you break it into 3 major sections, right? What are the 3 sections?
Yeah. And so they're called Confirm, Glimpse, and Path. And they're in a very specific, purposeful, linear order, where first you have to confirm whether or not you have what it takes. Once you do, I then show you a glimpse of what the life is, all of your options, and that typically lights somebody up who has all of the traits and confirms that they are. And then Path is showing a path to help get you there faster, eliminate half the mistakes you're going to make, and ultimately help you achieve success.
So let's take them each in order then.
Sure.
The confirm stage is really the filter of should I do this, right?
Yes, absolutely right. And so what I've discovered is that a true entrepreneur has 6 essential traits. And I hope we're going to help and teach a lot of people on this podcast. And so I do want to share those 6, and I want to just kind of share them at a cadence that I would love for your audience to just listen and make sure they check all the boxes. And so again, confirming is all about confirming that you have these 6 essential traits. And so they are visionary, passionate, problem solver, driven, risk taker, and responsible. And so if you have those traits, then odds are you're an entrepreneur. And I'll go one step further and I'll say that you are born with those traits. They cannot be taught. And so they've been with you your whole life. And so I'll pause there for any questions you might have.
Yeah. So let's, what I'd love to do is, if you can retroactively apply that to where you were when you were about to take over the family business. And so then you didn't have the benefit of the hindsight of 30 years. How would you apply that now? And would you have made the entrepreneurial leap?
Yeah, that's so great, because I was absolutely exhibiting all of these traits. And one of the ways you exhibit these traits is if you tend to sell stuff when you were young, there's a pretty good sign that you were exhibiting these traits. So for me, there's an old saying that says we teach what we needed the most. And so as I created this content, I was constantly thinking about my 18-year-old self who was lost, confused. I was a mislabeled derelict. I mean, I was insecure, and I just didn't know. I knew college wasn't for me, and I knew I wanted to go make money. And so absolutely, if I had this sooner, I do believe I would have had a bigger jump start and would have kind of gotten there a little bit faster. But the way it shows up is a lot of different ways. From 18 to 25, before I took over the family business, I can't tell you how many things I tried. I was going to open a travel agency. I did a mail order business. I got into real estate. I was real estate investing. And so it's, that's one sign that you have all of these ideas. You're pursuing these ideas. You're taking huge risks. I mean, I've been.
Would you say that you were successable at all of those things that you tried?
I was a horrific failure at all of them, quite frankly.
That's kind of ironic though, right? That like that would, maybe this entrepreneurial thing isn't for me. I keep failing at this, right?
Yeah. And that's, that's one of the indicators, is that every time you get knocked down, you just keep getting back up. It's insanity what entrepreneurs do, but we just keep getting back up because we're so passionate about accomplishing something. I'm convinced it's a disorder, but listen, I'm born with the disorder. So I'm going to ride this wave and ride this horse and enjoy it. And it's been a blast.
ELD, Entrepreneurial Leap Disorder. I like that.
Yes, there you go.
That's book 2. The Cure. One of the things that I thought was really interesting, you said in the book that when you first started thinking about how college applies to entrepreneurs, you thought you were going to write a chapter on don't go. But then after fully processing, you kind of said, well, maybe do go. Would you share a little bit of that? Because I think a lot of people are, and you made a great list of people who were college dropouts or high school dropouts, and people that were not, that were successful. Can you help people that are kind of wrestling with that? Should I go? Should I stay? Kind of, is it impossible for me to succeed if I didn't? Argument?
Absolutely. So I wrote an entire chapter on this called College or Not. And what I do is I present all the facts. And the short answer, and then I'll back up to some of the facts, is it's really a choice. You are not going to be any more successful as an entrepreneur by not going to college or going to college. That's what the facts show. Okay. And so it's a choice. And at the end of the day, if you are not sure, you should probably go to college, because you may need that degree if you really aren't a true entrepreneur and you've got to go get a real job. That's point one. Yes, you are right. I created 2 laundry lists of very successful entrepreneurs that did not go to college and very successful entrepreneurs that did go to college. The statistics show that it's about 44% of all small business owners have a degree, which quick math would say most don't have a degree. That's an interesting indicator. Right. And then I actually went into this with a bias. And so since I was about 25 years old, I would ask every successful entrepreneur that went to college and typically had an MBA, I would say, what is it you're using from your degree as an entrepreneur? And in every case, 100% of the time, the answer was nothing. And so I had a bias for about 20 years in that, why would you go to college, if you want to be an entrepreneur? But then what I started doing about 5 to 7 years ago is asking a follow-up question. And I would say, if you knew everything you knew now, would you go back to college? And they said yes. And that led me to ask why. And the reasons were 2 things. First of all, it was the relationships that they formed that are lifelong relationships now. Number 2, it was a practice ground for them to make T-shirts, sell things. So they were able to practice on their fellow students for 4 years. And obviously there were the partying benefits of it, but we won't get into that. But at the end of the day, when you read that chapter, you'll see all the pros and cons. I also ask those entrepreneurs, if you did go back, what classes would you take? And you'll see a list of about 10 there. And so long story short, it's a choice. You can still be successful, as 56% of the small business owners have proven. But at the end of the day, you've got to decide for you.
As long as those 56 aren't the 90% that fail the first year or so, right? Or the first 10 years. What? So do you have kids?
Yes, 25 and 28-year-olds.
Okay. What did you tell them on the college issue?
It was 100% up to them. I did not force them to go to college. Neither is an entrepreneur. So for both of them, I think it was very smart for them to go, but it was absolutely their choice.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
also told them, I also paid. So I also told them if they don't get, I can't remember what, they had to get above like a 3-point. And the second they were coming home. So that was also very motivating for them to work hard and play hard while they were there.
I love it. Yeah, I think you mentioned this, that one of the keys is that and I've told my kids this too, is it isn't to me essential that you go. I don't care if you go or you don't go, but if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, you will have to self-educate to replace what you, or supplement or whatever, what you don't get, like the basics of accounting and reading a financial statement, and, the basics of management, the basics of marketing. You can learn all that online for free at Khan or, Khan Academy or YouTube or whatever, but you've got to discipline yourself to do that, because if you don't, then what do you do?
100%, and that's what's important with my story is I was a fanatic about learning. I just needed to figure out how to learn my way and not an academic way, because I looked back historically since I was about probably 23 years old, and I've always spent 5% of my income, gross income, on education. And I've spent enough money in the last 30 years to pay for a college MBA 4 times over.
Yeah,
exactly. So you got to get educated. You got to learn. You got to go do the work. Yeah. And so I learned those things you're talking about in the real world. It's just the way that I learn. I got to do it hands-on.
Right. Now, so then the second part is the glimpse. Tell us what that means.
Yeah. And so with that, again, we're pulling these together. Once you've confirmed, and by the way, there is an assessment you can take to confirm to see if you have these traits. It's at the website.
And where can they get that?
e-leap.com. 10-minute assessment. You'll get an answer. If you score 90 or higher, you probably have those 6 essential traits. Okay. And that assessment is one of the tools of 3 tools I want to share and offer, and they're certainly free. But each of these parts has a tool that goes along with it, and we call it the 1, 2, 3 roadmap. And so I hope to, give your audience that roadmap for free before we're done. So as we go to path, now that you've confirmed you have the traits, now what I do in Glimpse, again, is I show you the life. I help you see the future. What I believe is that if I can create a context, show you what's about to happen, show you all of your options, that context will help you greatly reduce the mistakes you're going to make and make better decisions going forward. So what I do in that part is I share countless stories, real world stories, so you can hear what people did right where you were and how they were successful. I share a day in the life, both heaven and hell, the dream and the nightmare, and how to avoid the nightmare, the 8 critical mistakes. And then the third thing I share is all of your options. I'm on this kind of soapbox, and I have this strong belief that every entrepreneur is not built to start every business, and it's a fallacy, and I believe that's actually being taught out there. They're also caught up in this billion-dollar tech unicorn thing that's the only destination as an entrepreneur. And so what I do, I created a tool called My Biz Match. Again, that's the second tool that's free and downloadable on the website, or you can fill it out on the website. What it does is it takes you through all of your options. There are literally 10,000 options, and you're figuring out what you're drawn to and what you're built for. So we go through all of the industries that exist. There are hundreds. Then we boil it down to type of business, product or service, B2B or B2C, high price, low volume, low price, high volume, and then size. And size is probably the thing I'm most passionate about, because there's nothing wrong with building a $3 million heating and cooling company that throws off a 20% profit. So again, the tech unicorns are like the 1/10 of 1%, 1 in a million out there. And so I show you all of your options so you can figure out what you're drawn to and go start that business.
Yeah, I like that. And I think if I remember correctly, it was, and you just said it again, it was 4 things that you really look at, right? So can you go through those one more time?
Absolutely.
Just so people can.
So it starts with industry. Okay. And so first you're picking the industry, and there's hundreds to choose from.
Yep.
Once we get past industry, within that, you're then looking at type of business. And so there are product entrepreneurs and there are service entrepreneurs, and rarely the two shall meet. And you've got to decide, what kind of an entrepreneur are you? I'm a service entrepreneur.
Yeah, I always go there too.
You're here, and I have utter disdain for inventory. It like gives me the heebie-jeebies to look at $1 million in inventory. Now, with that said, half my clients are product businesses, and they love their inventory and they love their product. So you got to decide which one you're drawn to. So important. From there, it's then, are you a B2B or are you a B2C entrepreneur? Do you love selling to businesses or do you love selling to consumers? Those two sales are so completely different.
Right.
Which one are you drawn to? I love selling to businesses. I love selling to CEOs.
Yeah.
And then the third part of type is, are you high price, low volume, or low price, high volume? Those two businesses are very, very different. I have a client that sells light bulbs for penny. I mean, he's competing for pennies. He sells millions and millions of dollars of light bulbs. He's in a commodity business, low price, high volume. I'm just the opposite. I prefer high price, low volume. I want to be the most expensive game in town, high value, high quality. And so that you got to figure out which one of those you are. You cannot be both in most cases in business. And then that last piece I shared is just, what size business are you built for? $1 million, $10 million, $100 million. It's not all about $1 billion companies. I have a great friend. He's masterful at building $10 million companies and then selling them. He tried to build a $100 million company. He failed. We're all built for something, and it's okay to, I don't want to say stop as much as 5 million is okay, 10 million is okay, 15 million is okay. Everybody's trying to get to 100 million and beyond, and it's just not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, it's funny. You have to ask yourself, are you willing to do the things it takes? Exactly. And I think you mentioned that in the book. You did a great job of contrasting, I think, by the way, there's so many businesses that are not unicorns, that like we read about those and the media glamorizes it. But the truth is, very few of us would want to be Elon Musk and have the life that he has. And a lot of people trade a lot of things, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, a lot of them have really messed up personal lives, but they have changed the world, right? And they have made a dent in the universe. Yet at the same time, I don't know. It's an incomplete ride because it's so out of balance, right?
But you're spot on. But again, that's what works for them, and they sacrifice everything for that. And I locally here in Michigan, I have 134 clients that I've taken through the process in the last 20 years. And we have this billionaire here in Detroit, Dan Gilbert. And whenever one of them says, I want to be like Dan Gilbert, I just look at him and I'm shaking my head like this going, with all due love and respect, you are no Dan Gilbert. You're not willing to make the sacrifices that man has made. And listen, thank God for these guys. I mean, what they do, the impact they have on the world. Oh, thank God they're willing to sacrifice for what they create for us and others. But it's not, I know it's not for me. And the beauty is it's a choice. It's a choice. And there's nothing wrong with a $2, $3, $5 million company, even a $1 million company.
So when you hear somebody say, oh, that's a lifestyle business, what do you think about that? Because it's said disparagingly very often.
Yeah, well, here's, one of the things I share in the confirm step, just to back up the truck for a minute, is something I call the entrepreneurial range. And this will actually help some of your listeners that are wrestling with, if I don't have the 6 essential traits, I'm doomed, because the range works like this. If you picture this arc, again, it's called the entrepreneurial range. And on the right side of that arc, if you picture the words true entrepreneur, and then on the left side of that arc, if you picture the word self-employed, well, every person that owns a business is somewhere on that entrepreneurial range. And what I'm teaching the world and what this book, Entrepreneurial Leap, is all about is people on the right half of that range, people with the 6 essential traits, hard-charging entrepreneurs that build organizations with lots of people. And so if you picture the entrepreneurs that redline that range, you already mentioned one of them, Elon Musk, Henry Ford, Walt Disney, Thomas Edison, Oprah Winfrey, Sarah Blakely. And now let's go to the left end of the range and get to the answer to your question. Well, if you picture people that redline that to the left, these are your one-person shows, your freelancers, your consultants, your person with a side hustle, and people with a lifestyle business. And all I would suggest is those people are on the left half of that range, and they're probably not going to go build an empire, and that's okay. The point is, it is perfectly fine. And I always love to say, if you have handy skills and you go off and become a handyman or a handy woman and charge $60 an hour, you'll make $100,000 a year working for yourself, and you'll be busy for the rest of your life. If you're any good, there's no shame in that. And so the point, though, is if you have the 6 essential traits, within about 5 or 10 years, you're going to own a construction company because you can't stop yourself from building an empire.
So you mentioned that these are innate and that you can't really acquire them. Can you partner into it? Like, is there a way to kind of become an entrepreneur-ish by, like, it's not you, but you've got You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, 100%. But it's more, you mentioned Rocket Fuel, and that's your favorite book of my 6 books. And so Rocket Fuel is teaching.
No, actually, I like all of them. I don't have a favorite.
That's good to hear. So with that, Rocket Fuel is teaching that entrepreneur with the 6 essential traits that they are a visionary and they need to counterbalance themselves with this person that is an integrator, that manages the day-to-day of the business to free that visionary entrepreneur up to continue to grow. So point is, if you don't have all 6 essential traits, there might be a good chance that you're an integrator, and absolutely go partner or work for a visionary entrepreneur. So you can be in that game, help somebody grow a business, potentially partner with somebody. So absolutely, it's not a death sentence, but also if you don't have them again, and you want to be self-employed, you could be that one-person show. But absolutely, there are less integrators walking the planet than visionaries walking the planet. So if you think you have that skill set and you're not a true entrepreneur, by all means, go be an integrator for a great visionary and you'll be incredibly successful.
Love it. And then the glimpse, is there anything else that we should talk about the glimpse besides the kind of analysis?
Well, I think in the interest of our time, and you're obviously going to manage this clock, I think we probably covered it all, because I talk about a day in the life, both heaven and hell. The whole idea there is to show the contrast and show the 8 critical mistakes to avoid. I could read through those really fast if you want me to do that, or we can move on to path.
Let's maybe say, what do you think is the most insidious of those mistakes?
Well, I love it because every time I share them, somebody always asks, what's the most important one? So I'm just going to rip through all of them because they are.
But I don't want what's the most important. I'm curious as to the one that kind of catches most people off guard that you've seen in your experience across all these businesses.
Oh, that's it. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to let you pick. Okay. Here we go. Not having a vision. Number 2, hiring the wrong people. Number 3, not spending time with your people. Number 4, not knowing who your customer is. Number 5, not charging enough. Number 6, not staying true to your core. Number 7, not knowing your numbers. And number 8, not crystallizing roles and responsibilities.
Yeah, I think you chose very well because I think they're all equally important.
They are, and that's why I can't. It's like Sophie's Choice. That's why I'm making you pick. They literally, when clients come to us at EOS, when an entrepreneur builds a business past 10 employees, they've made almost all of these mistakes, if not all, in almost every case. And then we help fix the mistakes that they made. What I'm teaching the world now is how to avoid them. Just as I did building EOS Worldwide, I literally avoided all 8 because I had the luxury and the savvy to have experienced it with so many clients that I could avoid them all. They are all avoidable, but most entrepreneurs make them all.
Was there one that you found particularly challenging to transcend?
So for me, it's hiring the wrong people. I am a terrible hirer of people. And so the way I figured that out, fortunately, I figured that out at like 28 running the family business when I took that over. But I love everybody. I mean, everybody looks good to me. And so what I learned to do is just have a committee of people that do the hiring for me. In other words, they screen everyone. When somebody gets to me, they're pre-screened. Yeah. So that was always my challenge because I would damn near hire everybody because I love them. They can pull the wool over my eyes. So that was always my biggest challenge, but that's how I solved it.
As Sarah Blakely says, hire your weaknesses, right? So you've got other people to take care of that. So then if we move on to the path, what is that exactly?
So path then gets into, I'm going to give you the high overview of each chapter, see which one appeals to you, or if you want to go into multiple. But what I do with path, as we pull it together, now you've confirmed that you have it. You've taken the assessment. That's tool number 1. You've now got a glimpse. You filled out My Biz Match on the website. You know the perfect business for you. That's tool number 2. Now we go to path. And with that clarity, now I'm going to show you a path so that you will increase your odds of success, eliminate half the mistakes you're going to make. And so very quickly at a high level, it's college or not, which we talked about.
Yep.
How to discover your passion, vital in being successful. How to find a mentor. 10-year thinking and the power of 10-year thinking. The 8 disciplines for greatly increasing your odds of success, and the 9 stages of building your business. And so once again, it enlightens that entrepreneur in the making so that they're seeing what's about to happen before it happens, so they make much better decisions. Which one of those jumps out at you?
Let's go with the 8 things.
You bet. Okay. And so again, they're called the 8 disciplines. I'll give them to you at a high level. You tell me which one you want to drill down or multiple, but it's clarifying your vision. Number 2, deciding if you are a partner person, vital, having unwinded so many partnerships for my client. Number 3, knowing that the bigger the problem you solve in the world, the more successful you will be. Number 4, getting feedback from customers and clients early and often. Number 5, know that your first plan will not be your final plan. Number 6, work hard, really hard. Number 7, take criticism and doubt from others with a grain of salt. And number 8, see it every night.
I love it. As a recovering attorney who handled many failed partnerships and seeing so many today, let's drill down into that one.
I would love to. So basically, you're one of 3 types of partner people, okay? And so the first category is that you're either meant to have partners or you're not. And so the first category is a person that should never have a partner. And to know this right out of the chute, it's going to save you a nightmare of unwinding things 5 years from now. So just know that about yourself. And the most important message in this is both work. Both work phenomenally. You just have to know you can be incredibly successful without a partner. I've got plenty of clients. They own 100% of the business. They've got an incredible leadership team that works just as hard as they do. You don't have to have partners. And I actually fear that the world is pushing partnerships way too hard, with all due love and respect. So that's the first type. Know that if you are. The second and third are in the same vein, because the second and third are people that want partners. But the second type is someone who wants equal partners. And so if there are 2 of you, you're 50-50. 3 of you, it's a third, and a third. And so there are people that want a partner fighting this battle with them side by side, equal share. And then the third type is somebody who wants a partner willing to give equity, but will never give up controlling interest. That's the kind of entrepreneur that I am. I will always have the final say. I will be the ultimate decision maker, and I'm willing to give up equity to people because I want them to have skin in the game. And so that's where you're giving some percentage of the business or partnering or selling to other people so that they have skin in the game. And it's so vital on the front end of this journey is to decide which one you are, because it is so messy. Like I said, having had to help so many clients unravel these things. And as you said, as an attorney, you know it firsthand as well. Now is the time to decide, soul search what you are. So I write a bit about that in this book as well, so you can make the right decision for yourself.
So what do you think about the decision to have your employees effectively be your partner through some sort of stock ownership plan, employee, incentive plan, something like that?
I believe it can work. It's just very complex. I mean, it's extremely complex. You have ESOPs out there, but here's the reality. I've seen them work. They can work. It's just a beast to manage. And just to, get into an age-old profit sharing model, you can have all the same value out of that without dealing with the equity ownership issues that you deal with. But short answer is it works. There are 1,000 great ESOP examples out there that have absolutely worked. But then there's just as many horror stories. Yeah. So you gotta read the horror stories and the good stories and decide for yourself which one you are. That gets to which of the 3 are you? And if you're somebody who should never have a partner, you should never do an ESOP. You should never give employees equity. You're just not that kind of person.
Right. So is there a tool then that goes with the path?
Yes. And so the tool there is called My Vision Clarifier. Okay. And again, free and downloadable. You're going to answer 8 questions about the business you're about to launch. It's going to give you a crystal clear vision and a plan. And that's the third tool. And so we call that 1, 2, 3 roadmap, those 3 tools. And that's the best thing I can do for you in helping to give you absolute clarity to take your entrepreneurial leap and also start to ask the right questions. And then the book is designed to fill in all the remaining holes, help you see the future, and ultimately get a huge jump start on taking your entrepreneurial leap. I call it helping you start a better startup.
I love it. So where does this business go? You've formed, taken over, run, grown, and sold several. What's the plan here now?
I love your curiosity around that. So I've already built one empire. And I have no interest in building another empire. And so this is as much a passion project as anything else. It's a pure book play for me. So this is just all about being a book play. Over the next 10 years, I want to impact 1 million entrepreneurs in the making, which will indirectly sell 1 million copies of this book. And if you understand how books work, there's not a lot of money in that. So I'm really not desiring to build an empire, multi-millions of dollars anymore. This is about making an impact on the world. However, the business model is really important because the way I'm building this business model is with collaborators. And what collaborators are, it's any organization out there, nonprofit, college, high school, anyone out there teaching entrepreneurs in the making how to be entrepreneurs. What I do is I give them my content for free. They can freely teach any and all of that content however they want. No money changes hands. All I ask is give credit where credit's due and make them aware that a book exists. And it's the ultimate win-win because they get to be a hero to their audience. They get great content. I now have close to 60 collaborators and we just keep adding them every week. It's just kind of a no-brainer business model and everybody wins. And so if anyone in your audience out there knows of an organization that teaches entrepreneurs or wants to help teach, coach, mentor entrepreneurs, please go to the website, e-leap.com, click on the Become a Collaborator button and join, the cause. It's been a lot of fun and we're helping a lot of people.
That's awesome. That's such a great description of everything that's in there. It's such a cool book. And I love the way that you broke it down. I love the 3 different categories or the 3 different sections and how they take people through that whole process. It's so cool that you're helping people like that. If people want to get a hold of you, is e-leap.com the best way to do that? Or are there other places that they can learn more about you and things that you got going on?
Yeah, no, that's the epicenter of all things Entrepreneurial Leap. EOSworldwide.com is anything regarding EOS and the first 5 books. But they can find everything there. There's a free chapter of the book available on e-leap.com so they can read the first 30 pages, see if they fall in love with it. And the other thing I would suggest, if you have anyone in your life, a family member, someone you think is an entrepreneur in the making, this is an amazing tool and gift for them to help them really understand what they are, but also help you understand what they are. So for what that's worth, but it's all awesome. At e-leap.com.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us today.
It's been a pleasure, Roland. Pleasure to spend time with you.